I'm here now with my colleague Sanin. Hello.
Oliver.
Yeah, and we are talking about application area Aero and water. And I think there's also quite some new things available. So we introduced some time ago this aerodynamic application app, and we enabled the user to set up easily models. What did we achieve up to now?
Yeah, very good point. I will address it with a few introductory words because we didn't pay enough attention so far. So we are continuously developing this aerodynamic solution app and best practices which are continuously implemented, integrated in the solution app in the default setup. That's why we are now proud to be able, using minimum user interaction and input, fully automated workflow to produce results which are of comparable accuracy to the typical classical CFD body-fitted solution. However, at a substantially shorter turnaround times, order of magnitude shorter turnaround times. I would like to emphasize once more that we are focusing on the user and the user experience, and this available, very simple and guided, streamlined workflow enables user to focus on what matters the most. And what is this? This is design exploration, analysis of and optimization, of course, of aerodynamic performance. Of course, with this in mind, we designed this app and tailored it for the non-CFD experts. Nevertheless, it's not suitable only for CFD analysts, but also for designers, even for aero analysts or test engineers, which can easily, within a few clicks of a button, set up virtual tunnel and run simulations.
So I understand opening up this application area and this discipline to non-experts on this area.
Exactly. So this is kind of our contribution to this recently very often heard democratization of CFD in general. And we can see on the simple example, one video, which is 1 minute, it guides us through the complete simulation setup. It's demonstrated here on so-called aero mapping of a race car. Aero maps are very valuable information, detailed information on a race car aerodynamics, actually containing information on drag, downforce, rear and aero balance. And here we can see from the import of the geometry, which does not need to be watertight, which is very important to emphasize, up to now automatic generation of the background of the virtual wind tunnel and background mesh. Then later on, after setting up rotating wheels, the rest of the numerical setup is actually fully automatically created, so that within few clicks of a button, actually you are ready to go and run your simulations. So you can, of course, easily modify for this purpose any part of the car, and anything that you want to change in design. In this example, we are changing front and rear ride heights, for example, but also rear, for example, wing angle. You can change any of the parameters that you want to use to build your aero maps. In any case, this fully automated workflow allows you for multiple analysis of multiple cases without remeshing, which is really very efficient way to generate these aero maps, which can be later on used for the, for example, VSM race car simulations in order to improve performance of the race car on the track.
And to understand correct, so it's not only for stationary, but would also allow transient application and also movements of certain geometries.
Exactly, irrespective of that, we allow for not only for a movement of wheels, but also in some other applications you can allow even overtaking maneuvers and so on. But in this case, we are showcasing this specific case. Yeah.
So I understand these are the achievements which we have. What is now especially new in this 24R1 release?
Yeah, there are quite some improvements, but I would emphasize one important enhancement, which is related to real car geometries. And the new 24.1 release brings real enhancement, significant improvements in terms of resolving of very thin body parts in the real car geometries, which are really challenging to resolve. Previously, we were able to do so, involving some manual effort, manual work to specify. Now everything is done fully automatically. These parts are detected, and it allows for really optimal treatment and optimal mesh. Yeah? So this not only improves, as we can see on the background slide, the results in such areas like underhood, which features these tiny elements, but also in the whole remaining part of the flows, like underbody flow or very critical wake flow.
So I understand correct. In the past, we had to convert the geometries into shell structures. This is not necessary anymore.
Exactly. This was quite I wouldn't say tedious, but the job that took some time. Now everything is done fully automatically. Yeah.
Anything else? What is new?
Another news is related actually to something which is related and typical to previously mentioned moving bodies in, for example, unsteady simulation like overtaking maneuver, so-called forward of mesh refinement. Now again, we extended this to stationary vehicle. So whether steady or unsteady simulation doesn't matter for stationary vehicle. So using recently introduced smart formula utility, you can easily do forwarding of mesh refinement in the opposite direction of the car and get the mesh fine in the region when it matters, namely in very critical regions. And this enables actually you to capture much better flow separation and the downstream, the wake flow in the downstream.
So I understand. So moving forward, mesh refinement means that backward the mesh is finer where it's more significant.
Exactly. This is related to real moving cars, but now we allow this also for stationary cars, which is typically actually seen in the simulations, to allow this also for a steady car, which is done using the same feature, but in the back, in the rear region of the car. Yeah.
You mentioned the application field, drag and lift coefficient, but nowadays a lot of aerodynamic application and calculations are also done as a kind of a pre-calculation for subsequent analysis, like soiling application, like that, which is then based on particle-based CFD. There's also something new about interfacing, and can you explain something about that?
Exactly. There are some significant improvements in terms of usability and efficiency with this respect, but I would like to have a look at our, in the background, Dragon model to shed some light, but not only to shed some light, to highlight the advantages of the solution app and underlying embedded body methodology, which is our proprietary AVL immerse boundary implementation. Whereas SPH, by its nature, is a meshless, purely meshless, capable of handling very complex geometries, embedded body has also similar capabilities in terms of usability and efficiency. Yeah? That's why, due to this already mentioned compressed workflow, no need for watertight geometries, almost eliminating pre-processing time and meshing, this can be really valuable adjunct to SPH simulation, which requires, as you mentioned, in many use cases, steady or unsteady airflow. Yeah.
So it means you can more or less use the identical surface information, geometry information, on one hand in the pre-calculation in the finite volume analysis, as well as then later on in the SPH.
Exactly. This is the main and critical point, because otherwise you would need some time to prepare geometry, to mesh it, and so on, to run Aero. And it takes normal, as we already mentioned, order of magnitude. So it's typically a matter of a week or two, which we can do overnight. Right?
Yeah, we saw this nice animation, but what about a real life automotive application?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Our Dragon, but I have to admit, illustrates complexity of the surface which are seen in real life cases, and this is real life case. We can see on the following slides actually the description of the export of the selection-based transient airflow. Steady, or in this case, transient airflow. This is very efficient. Why? Because it's selection-based, either per mesh selection or using datum objects. You can use the frequency part of the domain, very efficiently export it and import into Prior Lab using the inside goal format, which is required for such a kind of simulations, consequence simulation in Prior Lab. Yeah.
Okay, so I see this is really, really convenient that you have a smooth workflow and the transition from aerodynamic to soiling and particle simulation. And as I understood, it's not necessary to export the whole airfield, but you can concentrate then on specific region where it's relevant then for the subsequent analysis.
Exactly, yeah. This is the key, as I already mentioned. We are leveraging advantages of both worlds, embedded body and SPH eliminating pre-processing and meshing embedded body, almost reducing to the minimum, and leverage this to combine in order to have very efficient simulation, which are related to water management, soiling, and so on, which we can see maybe in the next example, which emphasize other cases which might need steady or unsteady cases. We recall that Prion is typically used in early design stages, and they are accompanied with very bad geometries. CAD quality is very low. However, it's not an issue for these two methodology. So embedded body as a complementary methodology to SPH. So you can really efficiently combine them to tackle as early as possible in design phase different tasks like tire splash, self-soiling, wiper pullback, side window soiling, and many others applications like, for example, HVAC, water ingress, and so on.
Yeah, then thank you, Sanin, for this update. Thanks a lot, and looking forward to see the experiences with these new applications.
Exactly. Thank you. And I would like at the end also to thank for opportunity to present. I was happy to be with you today here. I would strongly encourage our present users who have both software tools, Prion Lab and Fire, in place, installed and available, to try it out and reach out to us. We'll be happy I appreciate feedback in any case. And stay tuned for future updates.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.